Say a creator's listening to this, they have a decent following. What do you think tactically they should consider?
So one of the first things they need to do is start.
John Ainsworth is the CEO and founder of Data-Driven Marketing. They help online course creators increase their revenue by 4.86 times on average.
This can add about 20% more revenue just by doing this one very, very simple thing.
With 20 years experience in building funnels and a degree in mathematics, John has conducted extensive data analysis on hundreds of millions of dollars of online businesses.
This is the mistake that people have made. They've seen that a lot of people, when they send out email promotions, are just promotional.
Structure their emails so that that's happening, so that they're selling without selling.
There's this perfect sequence that works really well.
So, John, thanks so much for joining me. I've got to ask firstly, how did you specialize in getting into course creators increasing their revenue? It's quite a niche area. How did you get into it?
So my background was I used to run a charity that helped get people into physical activity. And we got to the point where the campaigns ran fantastically, but I got really sick of working with government and health charities as clients. They were not the greatest. And so I tried out going, okay, what if we take these skills and we apply it in more the private sector, trying to fill up gyms, martial arts clubs, CrossFit gyms, this kind of thing. And what I found was the techniques worked so well that you could fill up a gym straight away and then they didn't need you anymore. So I had a couple of options there. I could say, I'm either going to do the work less well and just kind of drag it out, or I could go find clients who've got unlimited supply. And so therefore I was looking at three options. So it was e-commerce, SaaS, or course creators. And so I tried out working with all three. And what I found was that I really loved working with course creators. And part of the reason is they tend to be someone who is an expert in the thing that they do.
Yeah.
They're very passionate about it. They've got great at making content and have built up an audience that way. And then they've started making courses because their audience wanted the courses from them, but they don't know this part of the business. They don't know how do you actually turn that into making more money. And I'm a massive advocate for info products and courses. I take courses myself all the time. I think they're just the most incredible value for money. Someone's packaged up all of their insights, all of their knowledge. If you went to them as a consultant, you'd have to pay hundreds or thousands of pounds, and instead you get paying $99 sometimes to get access to this incredible course that they've pulled their whole heart into. So it's a group that I really, really like working with. And secondly, it's like these guys have so much potential to make more money. So there's so much potential in the space with so many of these people because they just have done all the work in making great courses, in building a big audience, but they haven't understood how do you get the audience to buy the courses, apart from just kind of hope almost, and it's like there is a proven process that works. And so when I can help someone like that to go from making, let's say, a couple of thousand a month to making 6,000 a month or 10,000 a month, and they get to go, oh, I can quit my job, I can travel, I can do all these things I'd always wanted to do. It changes their life completely, and it's just really, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the point you just mentioned there, because we talked a little bit about this before we began, which I think is really important to kind of highlight, which is that there is this, on the creator journey, and understandably, creators when they're starting, they've maybe built a following, maybe they're incredible at what they do, whatever their niche is. But all these kind of business mechanical kind of, how do I increase revenue, monetize? It's a completely different skill set. Yeah. And it's a hell of a learning curve. And I think one of the big issues for a lot of creators is just that kind of, it's almost like a rocket taking up. The hardest bit is actually getting out of the Earth's atmosphere. If you can't actually monetize properly, you can then never really scale, bring other people in, actually build a lifestyle that is truly yours and something that you want to, that can sustain you. And that's why I really want to have this conversation, because it's really tactical on, okay, how do we get to that point where this isn't just about posting, it's about how do we build a life that you love. So let's talk right from the beginning. Let's say a creator's listening to this. They have a decent following, but they haven't quite taken the leap into maybe creating a course. What do you think tactically they should consider? What areas do you help with?
So one of the first things they need to do is start building an email list. If they haven't done that already, then absolutely crucial to build an email list. And there's a couple of reasons why. One is because that's where all the money is in promotions, in the sales. And so the earlier that you start, the better. And so that's going to mean setting up lead magnets, promoting them across all your content really regularly. I've got, episodes on the podcast, The Art of Selling Online Courses, I've done explaining exactly what those steps are, how that looks. It's relatively straightforward to do, but it's really important to get started with it early. Now, you can typically get somewhere between 1% and 3% of your audience to opt into your email list every month. So if you take the number of views you've got on YouTube, about 1% of those might opt in. If you've got website traffic, it might be about 3% of that, something like that. So you start with that. Now, the next thing then is you're going to want to survey your audience to find out what do they actually want to know about. Okay. What do they want to learn from you? Don't create the course you want to create. Create the course your audience wants to buy.
Yeah.
Right? And lots of people make this mistake. And it's very easy to convince yourself that you are making the thing that your audience would want because you know your audience is like, well, make sure that you're right. So the process there is survey the email list, ask the people in your Instagram or YouTube or website traffic, whatever, to be answering the survey as well. Put it by, if you've got a lead magnet, put the survey behind the lead magnet. So you have the lead magnet, someone signs up for it, and then the confirmation page is the survey. And about 70% of people will fill in a survey if it's on the confirmation page.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, that's really smart.
So all of that's going to give you these insights. And you're going to ask questions like, what kind of courses would you like to get from me? But also, what are your biggest frustrations? What things is it you'd most like to be better at? What would make the biggest difference for you? So that you're getting different angles on the same thing. You want to understand people's pain points, their desires, as well as what they already know they want. Because it might be you could solve one of their pain points by making a course, but they don't realize that you could make a course on that thing, or they don't understand how that thing works. Mm-hmm. So they might not know they want a course on that. They just know they want that pain point solved. So once you've got all those insights and you've got enough information from them, then you can go through that and decide, right, I'm going to make a course about this particular topic. So then there's a whole process in like, how do you actually make a really good course? And that's not something that we do. Right. I've interviewed, there's a lady called Mariana Pena. I interviewed her on the podcast. And she is the person that if someone can afford it, if someone's got the money, then they can go work with her and she will interview them and map out the whole process and exactly how it all works and come up with the course curriculum and which bonuses do you need and what additional features do you have to have in there and what's the structure, and then map out, right, create exactly all these videos. Then it's easy for you to go make it. Now, most people, when they're starting, they can't afford that. So that's like 5,000 or 10,000 to work with her.
Yeah.
But I interviewed her and I went through like, okay, what are the steps that you're actually doing so that someone can listen to that and then be like, okay, I understand what I need to do. Now I can go away and bootstrap it. I can go do that myself. So that's the next step I'd say someone should do.
Great. And I will put the link in, not into your stuff, but also to that episode in the show notes. So if anyone's listening that's interested. The reason why I was laughing a little bit about the comment that you were saying in relation to make the course that your audience wants is, as a creator, it is so easy to fall into the trap of just doing something that you think you'll like or fool yourself. Be like, oh, the audience will love this. And then the bloody views come back and no one likes it at all.
Yeah. And we had that recently with a client. Like we'd surveyed the audience and they wanted a course about relationships, but she wanted to make something about this particular aspect of spirituality. And it's like, well, that's
a hard conversation.
Yeah. Well, it's a spirituality YouTube channel and spirituality, guru type person. But only a small proportion of her audience wanted that thing. And the ones who did were very passionate about it, but a much broader percentage of her audience wanted to know about relationships.
Right.
And therefore, it's like, okay, well, that's the one you should be making because that's what's actually going to sell. We can sell that, so don't make this other one and then be surprised if you don't make that much money from it,
I think that's actually, and I just want to double click on that because I think it's a huge insight, which is so easy to forget, which is that it's not just about build it and they will come. You might have a big audience, but actually the biggest thing you can do, the highest ROI you can probably get at the start of your online business, your online course creation, is make the right damn course.
Yeah.
Because if you spend ages of your time making the wrong course, then you're in a terrible position, but also just the amount of time and energy you're going to waste and all the rest of it. So I think that insight's huge. So let's say somebody now they've followed your advice, they've kind of done real research, they've got strong signals from their audience that we want to buy, really strong buying signals. They've maybe even got an email list because they've listened to your advice. Your company, Data Driven Marketing, increased revenues, creator revenues by average 4.86 times is what I've seen. Yeah. Very specific.
We are data driven, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, as you would expect. But that must come from somewhere. So what are the most common reasons for such a big increase?
So what we're typically doing is we're working with people who've already got courses and they've already got an email list. And what they're not doing is sending out email promotions. They normally do it twice a year, once on Black Friday and one other time, maybe when they're launching a course or on Independence Day, or maybe on Independence Day. So that's like a couple of times a year. And you'll see in their revenue, if you go into their revenue spreadsheet, you're going to see a giant spike of those 2 times a year. And if you ask, why don't you do that more often? They say, I'm worried about being salesy and spammy and people unsubscribing from my list. And this is the mistake that people have made. They've seen that a lot of people, when they send out email promotions, are just promotional. And so all they'll do is say, this thing is on sale, buy it now, buy it now, buy it now. And they don't want to do that 12 times a year. And that's quite reasonable, because who would want to receive those emails 12 times a year? What they haven't realized is that there is another way of doing this. And that is in sending emails that are both promotional and useful. So you've got a sequence of emails that provides tons of value if someone doesn't buy a single thing from you. If they don't buy now, if they don't buy ever. And you make sure that those emails help that person move forwards in their understanding of the problem and in what they can do about it, and they really enjoy reading them, and it moves people towards the sale. And so that's the biggest thing that people aren't doing. Now, once you've got your email promotion ready, you also need to have a good sales page, checkout page, order bumps and upsells as well. All of those help. But if you're not doing the email promotion, the rest of it is relatively unimportant, because the email promotion is the thing that gets everyone to that sales page in the first place.
Okay, so you mentioned a few things about promotion page, and I want to go across all of these bits, but let's just focus on the emails for now.
Yeah.
You said something really important in relation to, at the end of the day, you're promoting, but it doesn't feel like selling. Let's kind of walk through a bit of an example. So, let's say you've got a hypothetical client, they have an audience. Let's keep on that relationship one. Mm-hmm. How practically, how would somebody structure their emails so that that's happening, so that they're selling without selling, for want of a better word?
Yeah, so what we've found, and we've done a lot of testing on this, is that there's this perfect sequence that works really well. It's an 11 email sequence. And so I'll give you the overview of what each of them is called, and then we can dive into each one as much as you like.
Sure.
So it's pain, agitation, solution,
Okay.
gain, logic, fear, frequently asked questions, future casting, going, gone.
Okay.
So that's the whole 11 emails, and that goes out over 2 weeks.
Okay.
And so the first week is all about framing and warm up and helping people. You don't mention the course at all.
Okay.
You're not promoting the course in this. What you're trying to do is get people thinking about that problem, and then get people to think. That's the pain one. Yeah. And then the agitation one is you're trying to get people thinking about how does that affect their lives. So they've really got it clear in their head of like, oh, actually, I do need to solve this problem, because not only is it causing the pain that I already feel, but it's having all these knock-on effects in my life that I hadn't really thought about.
So in that relationship example, the pain would be, you tired of online dating? Is getting ghosted by people on Hinge?
So this isn't about dating. Yeah, this is more about the relationship with somebody that you're already seeing, right?
Okay.
So
I
you're
like
in
the
a
dating one.
relationship.
We'll go down that one.
We can do that if you want. Yeah. But then, so you're tired of dating. You're not managing to find the right kind of person.
Agitate, you're going to die alone.
Maybe too far, but yes.
Not in my email list.
So it's trying to figure out, how do you make sure that people are really understanding what effect is that really having on their life? Is that causing you to be frustrated? Are you feeling lonely? What have you? But you're not trying to upset people, right? You don't want people to feel bad about their lives, but you do want people to be thinking, but clear about it.
Yeah.
To really go, you know what? I've had all of these emotions and these feelings, whatever, but I've not really brought it to the fore.
You've
I've not
articulated
considered
it.
You've articulated. And what happens there is, if you can explain a problem better than someone can explain it themselves, they automatically assume that you can have the answer. Now, that's no good if you don't have the answer, right? But if you have the answer, that helps people to get into that context. And what you're trying to do in that email as well is not just bring that pain to the fore, but also to help them to understand why there might be something they could do about it. That it is a solvable problem.
Yeah.
And because they've now got a clear understanding of the problem, they've got a clear understanding of how they might go about solving it. You're not just trying to get people feeling like anxious and frustrated and bad. You're trying to get people thinking, oh, yeah, you're right, and I see there's hope.
Yes.
Because now I understand this problem, I might be able to solve it. Then the solution email, you're actually helping them to solve that problem. So you're only going to give them like a short tip because it's just in an email. You're not giving the whole course here.
Yeah.
But you're going to take something from in your course and you're going to teach them one tip that they can straight away apply and instantly get some kind of result. Go and have this particular conversation, try this tip next time you're out, try this if it's dating, try this line when you go talking to somebody. I've never taken any dating courses. I don't know. Here's a way of making sure that you seem more natural and calmer. Choose somebody else that you're going to go out with. Who you can have a fun time when you're picking people up.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. So that's all without mentioning the course.
Sure.
To get people really thinking about solving this problem. Then you've got the gain one. So this is where you're starting to talk to people about, if you solve this problem properly, here's how much better your life could be. And really getting them thinking about the future and excited about that. And in this, you mention that your course is available. You say, we're going to be covering this topic in more detail and about the reasons that you can solve it and ways that you can solve it and what you can do to make your life better. And if you want the full course, then it's on offer this week. And it's going to be 30% discount until close of play Friday.
So that's when you put the offer in?
Yes.
Okay.
That's in the fourth email, the gain one. So then the logic email is kind of similar, but you're now focusing on stats, studies, any kind of data that you've got for those people who are more logically minded.
Yeah,
some people
there's
are
different ways, isn't there? There's like people who are logic, people who are visual, and people who are there's a motive. Is that right? So that there's different ways people consume information. Isn't
yeah, exactly. And that's what we're trying to do is appeal to all of those different people. So the ones who are more logic driven go, oh, I've got the answers I need. They're the ones who are more fear driven. I've got the answers. The fear email, which is next. People who are more concerned about the bad things, you can show them, right, this is how come that's going to be solvable. Some people are more driven towards a potential future. So that was the gain one at the beginning. So those three emails, you cover those different angles, and all of them you're mentioning that the course is on sale. So then you've got future casting. And I mentioned future casting and frequently asked questions. You can do these either way around. Future casting is really about the future, but it's also about helping people understand that even if they don't, let me take a step back. One of people's concerns when they're taking a course is, I'm not going to implement all of it. I'm not going to succeed at this. I failed before.
Yeah.
Right? So you're trying to show them, even if you do just the minimum amount from in this course, the absolute minimum. Let's say you're going to just do like a half an hour a week from this course. This is still what you could see as a result. This isn't if you do everything. This isn't if you take the whole course straight away and implement all of it. You just do this tiny amount and people go, oh, I could do that. And then you show what would your life be like in an hour, a day, a week, a month, 6 months, so that people can start to think, oh, there is a potential future here. I could succeed at this. You want people to believe that they can actually do this. And of course, your course has to back it up.
Yeah.
This has to actually be true. But most people can achieve enough if they just stick with it and you give them the hope there that they actually can do it. So then the frequently asked questions email is very, very long. It's about 2,000 or 3,000 words often. And it's every question that somebody might ask, all answered in one email. No one is going to read the whole email, but people will scroll through and find, this is my question.
Yeah, this is my pain point.
Right. This is, I'm concerned about this particular thing. I don't know if it's going to be right for me because I'm actually like this, not like that. Whatever question they've got, like how many modules has it got, like whatever way that somebody thinks, whatever information they need, you're answering that in there. And they'll scroll through and find that. So then the going, gone ones are more of what people would think of as like a standard promotional email. You're focusing here more on the urgency. This is why you need to take action now. And in the course space, urgency is very important. You have to give somebody a deadline, and that's why you have the discount for buying this week. Now, what we don't want to do is just say buy now, buy now, buy now, even in these more promotional emails. But in these ones, we're going to include things like testimonials and case studies and examples of other people who have succeeded. And if somebody has a particular reason why they would think they wouldn't succeed, let's say this particular audience tends to procrastinate and you know that, then you're going to address that particular issue in here as well. So like, you might have been procrastinating in the past on this. This is probably why, from what I've seen of people who go through this kind of, trying to solve this kind of thing, why they procrastinate, they're afraid of X. You might not have realized you're afraid of X, but this is generally the things. It's probably what's holding you back. Let's address that and talk about why you don't need to be afraid of X, or why in this course we're going to teach you a way that will make you feel calm about
overcome
that.
Yeah.
And therefore it's going to be okay. So you're kind of addressing those last objections someone might have to buy. So over the course of those 11 emails, you will tend to get, so there's no sales at the very beginning, and you get a big spike towards the beginning of them and a big spike towards the end. And what we find is people like receiving those emails if they're well written. And one of the problems I had for a long time was I would teach people this framework, and then they're not copywriters. They didn't know how to write the emails. Like, actually, what do I put in? Like, I explain the concept, and they're like, great, but okay, what do I put in the second paragraph? What do I put in the third paragraph?
Hello, emails.
Just like, and people would have this blank.
No, I'm
blank
in
page
that box. I'm in that box. I'm not.
It's difficult, right? It's not a simple skill. So what we've been doing recently is developing a process based on the emails that we've written for all of our clients. And so we've taken what our copywriter actually writes into those emails, and we've extracted a framework from it. It's not a template, because you can't just say, insert pain point here, insert benefit here. Those tend to sound quite stilted. But you can say, right, in the first paragraph, we're going to cover this topic. In the second paragraph, we're going to cover this bit, and break it down to a point where someone's like, okay, I could write that. So we broke down those frameworks for every one of those 11 emails. So we got that.
Nice.
So the next thing we then did was like, okay, how do you know what to put in that second paragraph? You've got the overall topic, but what exactly do you put in there? Let's say it's about covering the main pain point that person's feeling. So because we're data-driven marketing, what we have is a very specific process of how you actually create a customer avatar and a customer language document. And for anybody listening who's like, oh my God, this is overwhelming, this is the process. Once you have this process, the rest of it's easy.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's a really important point just to reflect on that. We are talking a lot of, I was thinking when you were going all over that in the emails, it's like you need an understanding of your customer avatar. And just in case anyone in the audience listening doesn't kind of know the marketing terms, customer avatar is basically like your archetypal customer, kind of what the ideal position, I can imagine from everything you're saying, is that you want to know your ideal client almost better than they know themselves. You want to really know what their pain points are, because then when you're writing something, a bit of copywriting or whatever, it feels like they're it's speaking from their soul kind of thing. Yeah. So go into that avatar thing, because that was interesting.
Yeah, and so I'll give the overview here, but like we've got podcast episodes that cover this. Right. So I know the link's going to be in the description, but the art of selling online courses, and then look for customer avatar in there, and you'll find stuff in there, right? But here's the process. So that survey that I mentioned before, you run that survey. And from that, what you do is you create two separate documents: customer avatar, which is, like you said, that archetypal customer, and then the customer language document. And so the customer avatar is a summary. Here is the main pain points the audience is facing. Here's the main benefits that they want to receive. Here's the topics that they're interested in. This is the
and that's from the survey, is it?
All from the survey,
right, okay.
Yeah. And this is one of the crucial reasons why you need to start with that email list.
Survey first, right? Yeah.
So then you pull out the specific answers they gave, and you do not summarize these. You write these exactly, you copy and paste these exactly into the customer language document. So same headings: pain points, benefits, topics we want to learn about, etc. And under each of those, you've got the exact words that people had used. And therefore, what you can do when you're writing something is you can use the exact words that your audience is using. Okay, so now let me go back into the email sequence.
Right.
So within the process that we've been building, we've set it up so basically paragraph 2 of email 3 will say, right, what you need to do here is go and collect this bit of information from your customer avatar, and then use these words from your customer language document. So it becomes almost paint by numbers. And so what we're developing at the moment is like a group coaching program where someone can come onto the workshop and they don't learn how to do it, they do it on the workshop. This is my favorite workshops by far. Is I don't want homework. It's like
I want my time commitment, and then I want to be done.
Exactly, right? I love that. Like I turn up, I've got a program that I go through that's like that. It's with Israeli Special Forces mindset coach. So he's ex-Israeli Special Forces, super tough, super successful, and on the workshop, you go through and you do the mindset work. And it's super uncomfortable. And you don't like doing it, but everyone's doing it at the same time. And you've got the time in your calendar and you're there. What else are you going to do, right? You can't make an excuse and go make a cup of tea, right? So you do it. And at the end of that, you've done the work and you've moved forwards. And so I want to basically, I'm building the same thing for our clients where they turn up and on the workshop, they write the emails. They can ask their questions, whatever else, make sure they've got it all done. And at the end of it, they've got the emails. And after that, they can send them out and then make money. And then the next month come back and do it again. And so that's what we're trying to get people to. So if someone wants to just take this stuff and do it, run with this, we've got podcast episodes about each of those different parts of the email sequences, and go and listen to that and learn how the whole thing works. We've also got a free templates of all of these. So if someone goes to my website, datadrivenmarketing.co, they can download the templates of them and just go do this for free as well. So that's a possibility.
Wow. So just to be clear on kind of what stage in the creator journey you tend to bring on board people.
Yeah.
The workshop that you've just described,
Yeah.
is that for, because I can imagine you've got like your higher ticket kind of, you're a creator, you're already earning a decent amount of money, but you haven't optimized your course. And then we talked about this before we start, there's sort of the valley of despair where you're kind of earning a little bit of money, but not enough to be like, right, I'm going to go throw many thousands because it's an investment in the business. Where do those products sit in that ecosystem?
Yeah, so if someone's making more than 10,000 a month
Yep.
at the moment, then they can come to us and we'll work with them one-to-one. And then that's going to make sense. We'll tell them if it doesn't make sense for them financially, if they're not going to make a good return on it, but generally 10,000 is the minimum for that.
Right.
This is for people making under that. Someone making 2,000 a month or 3,000 a month, something like that. This is probably a good fit.
Okay.
Because if they've already got the audience and the courses and the email list and they're making 3,000 a month, we can probably get them to 6 and maybe to like 10 or 15, depending on a number of factors.
Then ideally wants 10, maybe 50.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So if somebody is in that kind of range, they're making some money. They've proven that people will buy these courses from them. They've actually got an audience. They've started even to build an email list. Then we can then help them to go and implement.
Great. Okay. And just because we finished the sequence, didn't we? We went
Yes.
to future casting and then finishing off kind of the going, gone sort of sequence.
Yeah.
Isn't
And so
that
those going, gone ones, just to add a little more detail to that, they're saying it's 48 hours till this deadline is finished, till the price goes back up, 24 hours, and then 3 hours. So that's the kind of timing of them, and you're hammering the urgency, and you're putting a countdown timer in there as well. Plus, like I said, the case studies, the testimonials, and addressing people's fears. But yeah, that's the end of the sequence.
Great. And before you mentioned, so that's kind of the email sequence. So you've been building your list through your channel. You've been surveying your audience. You've now got a fantastic kind of 11 email sequence where you're going over all of that to kind of plug the course. Let's now talk landing pages and all the rest. And you mentioned order bumps. So would you mind just going through those elements? Because often I think they're kind of underappreciated and there's a real art to them.
Yeah. So the sales page is the next step, right? So you're turning someone from the email sequence to a sales page. And the idea is the email sequence does about half the selling and the sales page does about half the selling.
Okay.
If you just send someone to the sales page completely cold, they're much less likely to convert. But we've got this great email sequence we've just described. So if you've written that, you're in a great place. So on the sales page, there's 15 crucial elements that you need to have. And most people are missing at least half of them.
Okay.
So
What are they?
in order to have a good sales page, this isn't going to be necessarily incredible, the best sales page ever, but a good sales page, you just have to have all of those elements. So you want to start out by calling out your audience.
Okay.
And what this means is that people who do fit your target audience understand that, yes, this is for them. And people who aren't a good fit, this isn't going to be appropriate to, then they'll know, oh, this isn't right for me. So for example, I've got a friend who runs sells courses for guys who want to get into great shape.
Right.
He's like, it's not for women because he hasn't got experience with coaching women. It's not for guys under 20. It's not for anybody who's used steroids before. And I think there's some other kind of criteria as well. So if he can say at the beginning,
This is not for you.
yeah, this is for you, it's not for you. And then the people who it's for are like, great, I'm in the right place. People who aren't, it's like, great, you're pointing them away. You're saying, I'm not going to be able to help you. Second thing is you need a really compelling headline. And most people put their course name as their headline. And it's like just the dullest, most boring.
Pretty sure I've done that on stuff. Not a course name, but I've done exactly similar stuff. So yeah, if you're listening audience, I'm one of you.
So there's a simple formula that you can do here, which is achieve outcome you want without thing you don't want.
Okay.
So going back to your dating one earlier, like find the girl of your dreams.
Without getting ghosted.
Right, okay? Or without feeling creepy when you're chatting girls up, or whatever it is that your audience is afraid of, right? Yeah. And then you want a subheadline that explains that benefit in more detail. So the headline's going to be relatively short, like 6-8 words, something like that. Maybe 10 to 12, but it's somewhere in that kind of range. And the subheadline can be like, 15 words, 20 words, something like that, but it explains the benefit a bit more. Still quite large, but not as large as the headline. Then we want the pain, agitation, solution section. So I talked about this in the emails. Same kind of thing here. If someone doesn't think that they actually have a problem, then why would they bother to solve it? And if they don't think that you understand their problem, then why would they believe that your product is going to solve their problem? So you have to show that you do understand what their problem is. And so you describe that pain that they've currently got. And they go, yes, that's me. I have that problem. Yes, this is for me. Great. And then you agitate it. You bring that to life. You show how that might be affecting them. And then you say, and here you're not providing a solution. You're just saying, this course is the solution. They've come to the sales page. They're interested in whether to buy or not. So you're saying to them, this is the solution. It's going to give you these, solve these problems, and it's going to make your life better in this way. So some of the other ones that you're going to need on the page are social proof. So lots of testimonials.
How do you get that? What happens if it's a new course and you don't have, 100 testimonials?
Yeah, so if you've done this one-to-one for people before, like most people that we're working with used to be a teacher. Yeah. They taught this thing in person and then they decided to do it online. Right. And so they've got testimonials from their previous customers. Or maybe it's a new course and they haven't sold this course before. Well, they can do a couple of things. They can provide it for free or a discounted price to a few people as a beta. Go try this thing out. Give me your feedback, and you're going to get an extra special price for it, and you'll be able to shape the way the course is done. Yeah, sure. That's great. It's a really nice way of doing it. And then get testimonials from those guys. Or if you've got a new course and you don't have testimonials and you don't do that, testing it out with a few people, you could take testimonials that people have given you previously about other courses or other things that you've done. You'd have to make it clear there that it's not particularly about this course, but that's kind of the lowest on the rung. So you also need to, for people who really want to see all the details, you have to spell out every part of what's in the course.
Right.
This is in module 1, this is in module 2, this is in module 3, this is the bonuses that you get. Right. Bonus is actually a separate section of that. So you want to make sure that people feel that they're getting more than they've paid for. So it's not just that you've got a course that's good value and it's on discount. You also have extra bonuses that are thrown in. So these bonuses have to be things that aren't going to be essential to get into the solution. Otherwise, they should be part of the main course. But they could be things that will get them there quicker.
Right.
Get our cheat sheet, get our calculator, get our additional course from a partner, which is going to teach you this extra trick.
Yeah, I think Justin Moore, whose course I've done, which is on sponsorships, he did a Notion calculator for how to calculate it. That's a good example, isn't it? Because it's kind of like it's not fundamental to the product. You could remove it, and the product would still be standalone. But you do, when you see it as an offer, you do itemize it and go, yeah, it works. Yeah. Obviously, these TV, like the shows in the 90s where they did like TV ads and they're get this bonus and this bonus and this pan.
Get some steak knives.
Yeah, exactly. It's obviously got something about it, isn't it?
Yeah. So you want stuff that isn't going to make you feel like an infomercial, but is going to make your customers feel like, yeah, this is a great deal. Make it not just be a great deal, but feel like a great deal. You're also going to want to have a guarantee on the page, really strong guarantee. If somebody buys and then they don't like it, and within 30 days they can get all their money back by just emailing you, no questions asked. That's kind of a strong guarantee. If you want to make it an exceptional guarantee, then something we do with some customers is they sell the course, someone can buy it, go through it all, say they didn't like it, get a refund, and keep something. So, and keep access to this mini course or whatever it is. Now, the problem that people have with that, let's say there's like a course and 4 bonuses that come with it. You could say keep access to these 2 bonuses afterwards. Now, some people are going to take advantage of you, and people don't like this because they don't want to be taken advantage of. But when somebody is buying, they are nervous and unsure and uncomfortable about it. They are trying to decide, can I trust you? Is this going to solve my problem? What if I buy it and I don't go through it? What if I fail? You want to make it so that people feel that they are taking advantage of you, not you taking advantage of them. And so if you offer them a better than money back guarantee, then they're going to feel more comfortable, and therefore you'll make more sales. So even though you'll get some people who go through it, refund, and keep the bonuses, and you might feel frustrated about it, you'll get a lot more people who buy who wouldn't have bought and then are happy with it.
I was going to ask you, you obviously will have the data behind that for the amount of people who you've coached. Is there a broad percentage of people who, when you do a course, when you kind of do your optimization, if you offer a better than money back guarantee, what percentage are the tire kickers?
Yeah, what we find is we don't want to have more than 5% refunds.
Right.
And we don't really see that percentage go up when you introduce anything like this. But you do see about a 20% increase in sales.
Right.
So overall, it leads to quite an increase.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, the maths, doesn't it?
Yeah,
maths
yeah.
is math, then it makes sense if you get more sales. And I think this kind of, I was speaking to Ollie about this, this is the kind of the key thing to understand, and why it's so important for creators is that what is incredible about this digital world, the creator economy, is the margins, which is that theoretically a course, as long as you're not doing one-to-one as part of it, effectively scales near exponentially. The margins basically continue. There's no cost of replication.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, if you're selling clothes, a jacket, there are fixed costs associated. And while we obviously don't want people taking the mick, that's a huge thing to take advantage of it. And actually, if you can get 20% additional sales, and that means that you maybe get 5% refund rate, well, actually, all you've done is you've increased your revenue and not really affected your margins, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we've done the guarantee, you've done the sales page, you've done all the bits there. What you mentioned about order bumps.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't cover all 15 elements of the sales page. So if anybody wants to get that list of those, because I probably missed a few, I'm not sure if I can remember them all off the top of my head. If anyone wants to go to datadrivenmarketing.co/resources, there's like a guide to it, and they can download that. There's podcast episodes on the podcast that I mentioned, but there's a guide there that gives you, here is the cheat sheet, here's all 15 elements and what they mean and what they look like.
Great. I'll also put notes and try and link all this stuff in the description. It's great.
But the next step is the order page. Now, you have the order bump that you mentioned. That's on the order page.
Okay. That's where people buy it, is it?
They're actually putting their credit card details in.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, this is like the last hurdle, and a lot of people fall at this stage because they just have the form for people to fill in, to pay, and they don't think too much about it. And actually, on an average order page, only about 10% of people buy. They get as far as the order page, and then 90% of them don't make it the whole rest of the way.
Right.
They don't actually put the credit card details in. Because this is the point where the rubber meets the road. Someone's actually got to give you their credit card details and hit submit, and they get nervous.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a couple of things that you do here. What you do is you simplify the form, you get rid of any fields you don't need, and you put in a little bits from the sales page. A few of the benefits, a few testimonials, the guarantee, reminder of what they're buying, picture of your face, picture of the course on a laptop, an iPad, a phone, so people know they can access it everywhere, trust badges, and then people feel a little bit more comfortable. And what we can get is, with our best ones, it's about 50% conversion on the order page, and a good one, if you just do the basics, is about 20%. So it's gone up significantly. Mm-hmm. But you asked about the order bump. So this is really a beautiful thing. If you've got everything else in place, you're making sales from your courses, this can add about 20% more revenue just by doing this one very, very simple thing. So an order bump is an additional product that you offer on the order page. So as somebody is buying, they're putting the credit card details in, there's a tick box with about 3 lines of text describing this additional product that someone can get. And you'll probably sell this for about a third of the price of what they're already buying.
Right.
So let's say you're selling a course for $150, this will be another $47, something like that. And it's something else that goes with what they're buying but isn't essential to that course. So similar-ish to the bonuses.
Right.
So you want something else, go through, just if you've got a bunch of courses you've already made, just list out everything you've ever produced, ever created, and think, what could I pull out as being that order bump? Mm. And then choose whatever seems to be the best, doesn't have to be perfect, and set that up. All course software allows you to do this. Kajabi, Teachable, Thinkific, ClickFunnels, or Thrivecart, all of these allow you to do it. It's just a feature that they all have. And about 20 to 50% of people will buy that product. And that will give you, on average, 19% more revenue, we found from all of our studies.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's effective.
And it's so easy.
Yeah.
Almost nobody does it, but it's so easy. Because you've got 3 lines of text you're going to write. Here's what the thing is, here's what the price was, and what the price is now if you buy it at this moment. And here's a couple of reasons why you should get it. In 3 sentences. It's not writing a whole sales page And that on its own will give you another 20% revenue.
It's such buying psychology, though, as well. It's the exact same reason why people put chocolate bars near the
Yes,
near
yes.
the tills, isn't it? It's because people have made the decision they want to buy. Oh, yeah. And also, as well, I can imagine it's human behavior. We anchor, don't we? We anchor our price. So if you've got a higher ticket product and then you've got a smaller ticket edition, for some reason, the cumulative purchase doesn't feel as bad once you've made that decision to purchase.
Yeah. Like I helped somebody make an extra. I got a friend who runs a site where he teaches about SEO, and he was selling a course. It's $1,000 reduced down to $600, and then if you are checking out, I convinced him to add an order bump, and he's like, I just don't see how it's going to make that much of a difference. I was just like, you've got to trust me. Just put something. So he made a product to put in there. I don't recommend making a new product, but that's what he did. Put it in there for $100, and I think 42% of people bought it. And he was making an extra $100,000 a year just from that one thing. And he said to me, okay, so is there anything else I could do this? What should I change? And I said, try doubling the price. He's like, okay, well, what do I need to change in the product? I was like, do you think it's worth $200? And he's like, yeah, I think it's a great deal at $200. All right, cool. Just change it to $200. And it went from 42% conversion rate to 38%. So almost exactly the same. And so now he's making $200,000 a year, just from this one thing. This
one psychological thing. I think that's so interesting, and it speaks to everything in relation to pricing as well, isn't it? Like we have head trash as well, don't we? When selling stuff, that like people won't buy that, and then it costs us a bloody fortune. Okay, so is there any other bit in the process after that? Before I do a recap.
So the last one is the upsell.
Okay.
So someone's put the credit card details in, they've hit submit, the product is on its way to them. And what you do on the confirmation page, so the page that they see after they've checked out, is an upsell. And you want a one-click upsell. And again, all of the course software has this. And on there, you sell the next thing. Let's say someone's bought the beginner course, you sell the intermediate course.
Right.
They've bought the intermediate, you sell the advanced. They've bought a month's membership, you sell a year's membership. So you offer whatever the thing is next. And you have a whole sales page again, which you've probably already made a sales page for that because you've been selling it somewhere, right? You take that sales page and you make a copy of it and you change like 4 or 5 things on there. You put at the top something saying, your product is on its way to you. It'll be with you in like 10 minutes. In the meantime, this is the next thing for you to get. And we're going to offer you a great discount today. And then you have what the normal price is crossed out and what the price is if they buy right now. You have a countdown timer telling people they need to get this within the next 30 minutes if they want to make that decision, get some urgency. So they're like, I have to make a decision about it now instead of just going, I'll come back to this some other time.
Yeah.
And that's it. Apart from that, you just have the regular sales page. So you can copy the sales page within the software, make those changes on this adapted version, and then about 10 to 20% of people will buy that. And that will tend to be about the same kind of price as your original product. And therefore, you'll increase revenue by another 20%. Wow. Now, that's the whole system, but you don't have to do all of it at once. You know?
So let's recap, because there was a huge amount of value there, but let's just make sure I kind of do it for the audience and myself selfishly. So you've got the audience. The first thing you need to do via good lead magnets, so basically enticing people onto the audience, is just build your list, your email list. That can be newsletters, it can be whatever. It's just about ultimately building the list of something of high value. Then through your list, you want to survey them so that you get an idea of what the course is going to be like, and how to design it so you don't spend a year designing the wrong bloody course and then have nothing to sell. Then once you've got something that you're now confident in, maybe you've used some testimonials in beta, so you've kind of tested out with your audience. You then start the 11 email sequence, which is problem, agitate, solution. So you're not telling people they're going to die alone on your dating course. You're then using your, you're then going through to future casting. There was another bit after that, wasn't there, in relation to FAQs?
It's gain, logic, fear.
Gain, logic, fear.
Then the future casting and FAQs, yeah.
Right, okay. And then kind of the offer sales process where you're kind of going, gone. Okay, so then they're looking to, from there, go to a landing page, and we did a ton on the landing or sales page, didn't we? Like the 15 things, show your face, don't call it the name of the course, don't call it dating course for you or something, call it the pain. We went to that, you can go back and listen to that. You've then got the don't offer people free pans, but there needs to be bonuses with the course. You've then got, what was the other bit we went into? So we got the guarantees, and don't be afraid to guarantee, if it's a course, don't be afraid to offer more than money back guarantees, because ultimately you've got huge margins with courses. So you want to really focus on trust. Then when they go to the order page, don't underestimate how important the order page is, because there needs to be things just reconfirming, because people are going to get nervous. You then have order bumps, where you can maybe link in some additional online products. So maybe package things together, and then once they purchase, maybe upsell to your next, so you keep them in the ecosystem. What did I miss?
No, that's it.
Was
that's
that
the
it?
whole system. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Nice. All right. Fantastic. So one of the things that's really good, and anyone listening to this, there's going to be a ton of links in the description. The Art of Selling Online Courses is John's podcast, which is fantastic, and you can deep dive into that. One of the things that you mentioned on a recent podcast is that you achieved over $12 million in course sales for your clients in 2023.
Yeah.
What of the things we've talked about were the kind of the key drivers? Is there any kind of specific stories there?
So the crucial thing, this is once you've got the idea of that system, this is actually very straightforward and simple, is you do that every month.
Really?
Right. So every month you do that for a different course.
Okay.
So let's say you currently got one course. Okay. What else do your audience want? What else do your audience want? Figure it out, make another course. List out everything you've ever made, which is probably more than you think. Sit down, brainstorm it, go through everything you've ever put together, and look at, right, what have I got? What could I package up into a bigger package? What could I splinter out into a smaller one? So that every month you've got an offer going out, and every 6 months you can repeat that. So you need to have 6 offers.
Okay.
Right? And then every 6 months you go, right, just start again, go back to the beginning, because there's new people on your list. People who weren't interested 6 months ago might be interested now. You can kind of repeat through the whole thing. Now, this is not easy to do.
Doesn't sound it.
Right?
Yeah.
And the reason it's not easy is because there's all of this work, building the sales pages, writing the emails, etc. Now, the reason it's not as bad as it might seem is once you've written the sales page once, you don't have to rewrite that. Once you've redone the order page once, you don't have to redo that. Once you've made an order bump, and if it's converting, you just leave that the same the next time through. Once you've written an email sequence for promoting a course, you might want to do another version of it, but at some point you can reuse the first ones again.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a system, it's a lot of work to kind of set this all up, but straight away it makes you a bunch more money, like immediately. In month 1, you do this thing and you make a bunch more money, and you don't have to do everything all at once. So let's say you write the email sequence and you do an okay job at it, but you don't touch the sales page, checkout page, order bump, or upsell. Well, you made a bunch more money there. And then month 2, you write an email promotion for the second thing, and you go through and you do all of those, right? 6 times. And then the next time through, you go, right, now I've got some basic emails. I can improve those a bit, but I'm going to redo the sales page. So now you go through and you do those.
Right.
And so this is what we're doing. When we're doing a done for you for a client, this is what we're doing every month. We're like, okay, what are we going to be promoting? What are we going to be promoting? We had a client recently. We've taken him from $25,000 a month to $100,000 a month on average. His best month's $200,000 now. But he had a month where he was like going away, and he was like going to be on holiday, and something got delayed, and no promotion went out that month. And he was like super frustrated that he was making less money. It's just like, well, of course, no promotion went out that month. I was like, okay, let's set this up so this never happens again. We need to get far enough ahead that he has an email promotion go out every single month, because that's what brings in the money, right? And you can just do this continually, like forever. It's not a problem. You don't like totally burn out your list. You're building up the list faster by having lead magnets. Now you've got more money. You start to put more time into your building the audience.
Yes.
And the whole thing snowballs, right? You go, okay, I've got more resources.
Yeah.
I can now put that into building the audience faster, and therefore I'm going to make more, have a bigger email list to make more money, etc. But this is why we do coaching for people, and we do that. Like I mentioned, I'm very, very excited about this group coaching program. In case you can't tell with it, right? It's because we've had this thing where we could do this for bigger creators, and we could do this for people who are making over 10,000. But the people I like helping the most are the ones who are making 2,000 or 3,000 to get to that 6,000, 10,000.
It's life changing, isn't it? For
totally life changing. Yeah. And so this is why I'm doing that coaching, to help people to like, okay, come on the calls, and we're going to go through it, and it's going to be okay. chill. It's going to be fine, right? Don't stress. Don't panic.
Yeah.
Don't feel like, oh my God, I can't do this. I don't know what to say. I'm not sure what to put in here. Come on, we're going to write the emails together, and then you're going to send them, and then next month you'll come back on and we'll do it again. So we'll probably introduce stuff where we help people to improve their sales pages and stuff as well. But for the moment, we want to focus on the emails.
Nice. And I know this is going to be niche specific, but just while we're talking money, like what kind of, what size creator and course revenue targets are realistic? Is there any kind of guide that you can give? Because you must have seen a lot of it. And I think it'd just be really interesting for the audience, because there'll be people listening who maybe have got an audience in the tens of thousands, maybe even a couple of thousands, but there'll be some who've got really sizable audiences. Could you give some insight into what are the key metrics and what very broadly do you think creators can kind of generate through courses if they really double down?
Yeah, so I'd say I'm going to give you the simple answer, and then I'm going to give you the nuance to kind of explain it, right? So the simple answer is about $1 per subscriber per month.
Wow.
So let's say you've got an email list of 6,000, you can probably make about $6,000 a month.
Okay.
Now, the nuance is your audience engaged or not engaged?
Yeah.
Right? They're on your email list, but they haven't opened them in an email in 2 years. Okay, that doesn't really count.
What kind of open rate do you look for?
Kind of about 30%.
That's lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah, so that kind of level, right? So if your email list is incredibly engaged, that number goes up.
Of course.
Right? So that client that I mentioned before, who he's doing, we got him to about averaging about 100,000 a month. His email list was about 40,000. So there's a couple of things. One, his email list is more engaged. They love him. They love his content. They think it's fantastic. He has a very high open rate. And secondly, he's in the B2B space.
Remunerative, yeah.
So he's helping architects to run their business better.
Oh, that's a good niche.
Right? So, and it's not got a lot of competition. There's not a lot of other people who are doing that. And so that works really well. So he's making 2.5 times the size of his email list in revenue per month.
Right.
He also can afford to get us to do the promotions, so that increases it a little bit more as well. But that's a high end, right? 2.5 times. If someone's got an email list that's not very engaged and they're in the language learning space or in the hobby space, where it's people are spending less money and their email list is less engaged, then maybe they're able to do half. So if they've got an email list of 10,000, maybe they make 5,000 a month by doing this. But that's the kind of range. But ballpark for most creators, I'd say somewhere around $1 per subscriber per month is doable.
Okay. And so let's just, one of the things that was interesting you touched upon is that you've kind of got like a creator who's starting out, maybe they've just done the first course. There's a creator who's doing the course and then they're kind of earning a couple of thousand, and then there's a high ticket. As far as how data-driven marketing can help, like you said, is it, so at the moment, kind of the lower end, am I right in saying it's effectively the podcast is the best place to start, and then there's the workshop. Can you just go over that? 'Cause I think
So we've got the podcast, obviously free. We've got a bunch of lead magnets ourselves, which are going to help you with each of those different things. We've got stuff around, and that's all available at that datadrivenmarketing.co/resources.
Okay.
So that's going to be things like how to, the steps in your sales page, writing these email sequences, how to create an order bump, that kind of thing, right? And then if someone's making some money, they're up and running, they've got a course, they have got started, then the right thing for them is going to be this group workshop.
Right.
So that's going to be
Can I
somewhere
ask what
between
the price point is?
about $500 a month.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're launching that. We're testing at the moment, 1-to-1 with people, and we're doing the first version of it as group starting in August, and it's going to sell out. I know that for definite because we're going to do like a group of 6, and I've already got like many more people than that who are interested. But if anybody's interested in that, then sign up to our email list by going and getting any of those resources, or drop me an email, john@datadrivenmarketing.co, and we'll get you on the list so you know about it. So that is going to allow people to jump their revenue up significantly. If people then take that and are reinvesting it back into more traffic so that they're growing faster and faster, then they're going to be able to jump to the next stage, which is then working with us as a 1-to-1 client. But that needs someone to be making more than 10, probably more than 20,000 a month for that to add up for them to make sense.
Great. And are there any niches that are just, I think this is an interesting question, any niches which you just like, no, we can't, we really struggle to monetize that. No chance.
So no, but I'm going to tell you why the answer's no, because it's not quite as simple as that. we only work with people who have actually already started making sales of their courses to their audience. So finding product market fit is really difficult. So if someone's built an audience, that doesn't mean that audience is going to buy courses from them.
That's an interesting insight, that actually, isn't it?
So we chose to only work with people where they've figured that part out. Now, we can help people figure that out by, I'm teaching that process, right? It's like build an email list and then survey the audience and then find out what do they want from you, and then do a beta test and see how many people actually will buy it. Maybe even do a pre-sale before you go and build the course. But you have to get through that hurdle to be at the point where it makes sense to actually work with us, even our group coaching program, because not every audience is going to actually want the courses, and you're going to take a little while to figure out what courses is it that they want. And our main focus is running promotions. Well, a promotion doesn't work if you haven't got a thing that somebody wants.
No, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So therefore, we don't deal with that part. So from my point of view, I don't see that come up, but that doesn't mean that doesn't exist.
Yes.
It just means I've not got those people as clients.
By definition, yeah. It's kind of like me for financial advice. It's one of those things that there's a ton of people who maybe if they don't have any money, then actually having the idea of what you need to do to build wealth is enormous. It's just as an advisor, there's only so much you can do. You need to have someone to have a reasonable amount of money for them to then benefit from the tax strategies and all the kind of the things that you bring on board. There sometimes can be, and I don't know whether this is just a UK thing, so might be just me articulating my own total head trash, but sometimes there can feel a bit of a backlash in relation to courses. Now, I think that's nonsense is the truth, because actually, if you actually look at it really skeptically, the rip off small universities than courses. And I kind of believe that. But do you think we're going to get to a point with the content, the creator economy, where we've reached peak course?
I think we're a long way from it. I mean, it's growing at something like 20-25% a year for the online education space.
Right.
And I think that courses are some of the best value things that you can possibly buy, because it's someone's years of experience all packaged up for a lot of the time $99 or $199, something like that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think courses are often much better value than consultancy or than group coaching programs, because a lot of times in those group programs, people haven't done the effort to make the thing simple enough. Because someone could just ask me the question and I'll kind of answer it. Whereas courses, someone's had to really boil it down.
Yeah.
So I think they tend to be...
For every audience, almost, it's kind of got to be universal, isn't it? It's got to be kind of something that, it's got to be simplified for people at different levels coming in, so you'll get the dilution, the kind of the real focused element of it. Yeah.
So that's why I think they're absolutely fantastic. Now, will there reach a point where there's so many creators making courses that there's too much competition? I mean, obviously, right, more competition can affect the amount of money you can make from something. But if we look at the language learning space, for example, right, I've got a lot of clients in the language learning space, and I know a lot of people in that space as well. And these guys don't really even think about each other as competitors because they've all got their own angle. So, for example, I've got a friend and ex-client who runs Perfect English Grammar.
Oh, I saw the podcast with you.
Yeah. Right, okay. And so she is focused on people who are really intellectual and are really focused on getting the grammar exactly right. And then I've got another friend who runs Pronunciation with Emma. And so she's focused on British pronunciation.
Right.
And then I've got a friend, Benny, and he teaches people how to learn languages by getting out there and just talking to people. Get into the market, go to the cafe, whatever, just start conversations constantly. And he's teaching people how to go through that process. And all of Shona's customers would hate to do that because they want the grammar exactly perfect, right? And all Benny's customers would hate to do Shona's courses because they don't want to learn the grammar. They just want to go out and talk and get it, something happening. And so everyone's got all these different angles and they've all built up their own social audience. They're not competing on ads. They're competing on YouTube or SEO or whatever. But people who go to that are interested in their angle and they find that. And then once someone's found that guru or person they listen to, then they get into that person's email list and then they buy that person's courses. So at that point, there's not any competition between them anymore. Now, at some point, it becomes saturated, but we're not there. We're not there by quite a long way. And specifically, the biggest thing I see that people are not making money with is that they have the audience, they have the email list, they have the courses, but they're not doing the promotions to make the money. That's the sticking point, is they're not making money from their own existing audience.
Because I guess no one ever teaches you how to do this apart from people like
Yeah.
yourself. No, it's true though, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, you know, if you think about the barriers, it's a lot for the content creators already. Like to get to that stage, they've already frankly been a successful creator, even a small creator, because you know you've had to build it and all the rest of it. You've then built the course, but all this stuff, all the incredible amount of value you've just given us, John, that's no one really sits you down and teaches you.
No.
So how else would they know? And I think to what you just said, which is really interesting about the importance of like niche expansion, for want of a better word, where like, you know, you talked about a second ago about the architect and, you know, helping business owners who, you know, have architectural businesses. That's hyper niche. You can't really go and get an MBA for that. And if you do, it's going to cost you a fortune. And I'm kind of an example of this as well. So like my one-to-one service, because of regulation, all the rest of it, it's in the thousands. It's the truth. But I've kind of got a niche of kind of retirement planning clients, which I could do a course for at a much lower price point. You know what I mean? And that would be a way to reach those people that maybe can't afford the more high ticket thing, or maybe even in the creator economy. You know what I mean? It's something which is obviously kind of one of the things I'm exploring with this book. So I think it just kind of comes to show, because the fact even in my own situation, there's potentially two paths for exploring niches, just how diverse, which your language learning kind of conversation talked about, how diverse an opportunity this can be for creators. Okay, so a segment I ask all guests, what do you see for the future of the creator economy?
So I don't know about the creator economy as a whole, but for course creators, I see that there is a lot of people who have got absolutely massive potential. Like, and the kind of my mission is to try and take this out to people and go, look, you've done actually most of the hard work. It's not like the rest is going to be easy, but you've actually, if you've managed to like build a course, build an audience, build an email list, people are buying your course, you found product market fit, then you should be making 2 to 5 times more than what you're making right now. And so what I see in terms of the people who I'm interacting with is a very bright future in terms of, right, okay, great, let's go take this to another level, you know, and take it much further. Wider economy, I'm much less sure. Like, I think that this market, I think online education is going to just keep growing. You know, it's growing at a good amount, like 20-25% a year, something like that. It grew faster during COVID, and we're kind of further ahead than we thought we would be at this point because of the number of people who took courses there. So yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Cool. More money than sensei segment. 2 questions, quick fire.
Okay.
What do you see creators waste money on, and what do you think they underinvest in?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what they're wasting money on.
Right, I'm going to give you an insight. It's probably wasting money is probably just going on the courses from what I've learned today. Spending all the spending all money and time building something without actually putting the building blocks in place for it to be successful. That's kind of the big insight that I took from right at the start of this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's maybe not money, but it's certainly time. And
time
is money.
Yeah. I mean, time-wise, for definite, what they're doing is they're spending all their time on making more content and more courses. And they're not spending anywhere near enough time on selling the courses that they've already made to the audience they've already built.
Yeah. What about underinvesting?
I think, I mean, to my mind, it's the same thing. It's either reinvest money into who can help you to do that faster. Yeah. And this is what that escape velocity thing we're talking about earlier, right? If you can get to the point where you're making enough money from this and you can take some of that money and put it in to move it forward faster, like, okay, now I hate doing this part. I hate copywriting. I'm going to hire a copywriter to help with this part. That's expensive to do, or I hire someone to help with the tech side of things, or a designer or something like that, rather than trying to do everything myself. Then you can move forward massively faster. Video editors, for example, right? Lots of YouTubers edit the videos themselves, and you can pay someone like £60, $60, whatever, something like that, to edit the video. And people are like, oh no, but it won't be perfect the way I do it. It's like, yeah, but you're spending 3 hours doing that, and you could be spending that 3 hours recording new videos, making a new course, writing an email promotion.
Yeah. Okay. I found this so incredibly valuable. I'm sure the audience does as well. Let's say, John, they're really fired up. I know we've talked about links and everything, but they want to know more about you. They want to get their shit together. Where do they go?
Yeah. So if you want help with actually implementing this, drop me an email, john@datadrivenmarketing.co, or go to the website, datadrivenmarketing.co.
John with a H, right?
Yeah, John with an H, yeah. And we can, either the group coaching, or if you're further along, if you've got a bigger audience, then, we can talk about whether we can work together one-on-one. And then if you have no money, this is super early, you can't afford to spend anything, then go listen to the podcast and go to that resources page. So The Art of Selling Online Courses is the podcast, and datadrivenmarketing.co/resources will get you all of those resources for free.
And the links will be in the description. Thank you so much for your time, John. It's been incredible.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Anyway, finally, I just want to say that as a regulated individual, it's only right that I'm straight talking with my audience. I want to give you the tools to educate yourself about how to manage your personal finances and become financially free. That said, it's important to know that anything through this channel and content is educational and informational only. It is never to be seen as specific financial advice to you. I don't know your unique circumstances, so any generalizations mentioned may not be right for you. Views stated on this podcast and elsewhere are individual. If investing is mentioned, with investing your capital is at risk, past performance is no guarantee of future results, so if you are making any key financial decisions, please do seek professional advice catered to you. Thanks so much for watching and listening.